Artifacts. Today we're gonna open up one box of artifacts. I've had some great luck with this guy, but before we get to that, today I'm fired up. I have a topic I want to talk about, which is worst trades from recent time. As a Canucks fan, I have to bring this up. But before we get to that, I do want to show off some of my most recent purchases, because I ended up getting some great deals on some, personal collection cards. So to start, I picked up this Rasmus Dahlin PSA 10 Young Guns. I still have a lot of faith in Dahlin. I still do think he has what it takes to be, that top 10 defenseman. And his Young Guns cards are still pretty cheap, so it might be a good one to invest in if you're a fan of Dahlin. I picked up, this one was more pricey, but I did pick up a Cale Makar PSA 10 Young Guns, the next Bobby freaking Orr, so I'm not too worried about that card. Looking at sales trends, comparing Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, some of the bigger names out there, I still think this card is fairly cheap, especially if Cale Makar continues to be that dominant force. This one's a big one for my personal collection. I've been wanting this card for a long time, but I got a PSA 10 Quinn Hughes Future Watch Auto. Obviously, Canucks fan here. That's why I'm fired up. I don't know if this thing's gonna skyrocket in value ever, but definitely one just for my PC. And lastly, this one's an interesting one. An MNT 9.5 die cut card of Cale Makar Auto. So I actually picked this up from my friend for about $1,000, and this one's actually out of 35. So this one could be an interesting one. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't know if it's because I'm a business student. I have a business background. I obviously love collecting cards like Quinn Hughes from our personal collection, but I do think if you're smart with your investments, smart with your purchases, there is some money to be made on top of collecting some cool cards. But let's open this guy up. Artifacts. I was kind of hating on it last video and then ended up pulling some really nice cards, so we'll see what we get today. And actually, one second, I do have a quick loose pack to open. So I recently went to the Calgary Card Convention and I spun a wheel and got a Series 1 pack out of it. So let's see what we can get out of this one loose pack. JT Compher, Tierney, Delorier, Kevin LeBlanc, Tanner Jeannot. Not bad. All right, let's open this up and maybe I'll start my rant here. So, I don't know. The NHL has been fascinating the past, I would even just say 5 years. Everyone's just been expecting, so many teams have been putting so much, risk in the salary cap going up. And not to mention there's been some phenomenal prospects, so people are just being super high risk with their trades. Oh! Okay. Dual patch. They're Wade Allison. Wow. I did not expect that out of 149. Okay. Huh. Okay, so now I'm not as hot anymore, so I won't be doing that as much as that. Nice, what a good way to start. But with that being said, we've seen some just horrible trades. Obviously, the Erik Karlsson trade has aged super poorly. Tim Stützle, if he becomes that star player, that trade in like 10 years is gonna look like one of the worst ever, considering how much they had to pay Karlsson in San Jose, Not to mention they got Josh Norris. That's a big factor there. Well, who else we got here? With one of the most recent ones, Seth Jones. That's right. Now that one was also a horrible trade, especially because they're tanking. Nice. Jackie's at a 75. Red. And we got a Cam York rookie artifacts out of 999. Yeah, so the Chicago trade was horrible because it just made no sense. Not only did they get a defenseman in Seth Jones, again, not saying Seth Jones is bad, but what they had to give up for Seth Jones just to pay him a lot of money just for them to have to tank anyways, it's just hilarious because the Blackhawks deserve a lot of karma put on them these days for their organization, not the fans. I mean, the fans have been treated to a lot of success, so they can, experience a downfall like us Canucks fans here for, however long that takes. Niels Lundqvist at a 999. Nice. But one trade I have to bring up. from a Canucks fan's perspective. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Connor Garland. In return for the 10th overall pick, which turned out to be Dylan Gunther, Louis Eriksson, Jay Beagle, and Antoine Roussel. This trade, I just don't get it, man. Like, you took yourself out of one hole just to bury yourself into another hole. Like, did they not see Erik Karlsson? Did they not see some of these other defensemen who had serious injuries? And I'm not saying they're bad defensemen. I still think OEL is a respectable top 4 defenseman who just makes way too much money. But this outcome has been brutal because, got a 3-card pack, okay. Vancouver's defense is horrible. Now, they have some bright spots, obviously, Quinn Hughes and stuff, but what makes even less sense is they trade for OEL, hoping that he'd have a bounce back season, or bounce back in his career, have a career reemergence. What is the point when you have Jack Rathbone in the system, you have Quinn Hughes, and now OEL, who all play a very similar game? And from what I've seen, you can't have a whole defensive back end who are offensive defensemen. It just doesn't make sense, Matt Barzell. Got a 499. Do you like that switch? Go from passion to straight business? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't. And I don't know, like, it just screwed up the entire cap situation. Because here's the thing. Yes, they made a huge mistake signing Louis Eriksson. That's just obvious now. I hope everyone has come to terms with that. When they traded him alongside of Roussel and Beagle, they all only had 1 year left on their contract. So they got 1 year of OEL and they saved 1 year of Louis Eriksson, Beagle, and Roussel. In what world is that worth it? It obviously isn't. Oh, Nico Hischier with the cage with the C out of 249. Dual patch. Not too bad. But I don't know, man. It just doesn't make sense because now they have so much money tied into... I think Garland's a solid player, but they have so much money tied into OEL. I don't think they can move that contract. He still has a lot of term left. And it's not worth it. It's screwing up the entire cap dynamic of the team. For what? Oh, here we go. Sidney Crosby at a 299. It's a nice one. I don't get it, man. It's like you buried yourself and you dug yourself into one hole, and we're like, okay, we're Vancouver. We can't be making too good of decisions here. Let's bury ourselves again. That's basically what they're thinking. And just in terms of the context, in terms of what they're building there, I think it's like one of the worst trades of the last decade. I don't know. Like, if OEL comes back, another patch, another one. Vincent Trocheck out of 249. Okay. Getting some nice patches, and that's it for the box. But honestly, pretty good box. I'm not going to complain. Wade Allison, Trocheck, Crosby. Another Nico Hischier. And a Jack Hughes at a 75. Not too shabby. Why, Vancouver? Why? Why?